So I got this comment saying, when did I start my football journey and what was the process like? And I think that's a really good question because it's often so confusing, especially for young girls in football. How do you get up the ranks and how do you play adult football, for example? This is specifically referring to the system in England. So obviously it potentially differs everywhere else, but I'd say it's pretty much the same. I started playing football when I was like six years old, maybe even younger. But I remember six would always be playing outside with the neighborhood kids. If there was a park, car park, anywhere there was free space, you best believe we'd be kicking about all the time. So that's what I love about football. It's simple. You've just got a ball, you define your goalposts, and you just kick about. And honestly, that was one of the most best memories because I would always just literally have 50p. I'd go to the shop, get 20p Coca-Cola. That was probably poison. I have no idea what was in it. And Doritos. And that was just my weekend. It was like, playing football and, Doritos and 20p Coca-Cola. And all the kids would do that. We'd go play football, kick about, would set up matches, 10 aside, 11 aside. Sometimes it would be even just loads of people. It's just as many people as you can. The culture was pretty much always just kicking and playing football. And I remember even in school, my year 3 teacher, Mr. Shaw, would be like, guys, if there's any messing about, if you don't hand in your homework, if you don't listen in class, you lot are not playing in the after school football match. So you best believe you paid attention. We paid attention in that class just simply because if we didn't, we wouldn't be playing football. So he really knew how to make us all listen. So yeah, that's for me. When I started playing football, it was just playing outside with everyone else and in school and in parks. It wasn't none of the restrictions where, oh, just go around cones and have lots of restrictions in terms of you know uh, going around, playing competitively. It was almost always just freestyling. And that's what I loved about it. It was always just fun, exciting, engaging, and you get to meet your friends always, every single time, every single day, especially at the weekend. So that's what makes sports fun. It's that element of playing with your friends, always being fun, and not being too harsh, on yourself and your performance. So the second question is the best place to start playing football during your youth. So the best place I would say is join a grassroots team. Now, I did not join a grassroots team or competitive organized football until I was actually 14 years old. And this came about when my friend was like, hey, there's a team just around the corner. Do you want to go together? We can go together, pick you up, we can go to matches and training. And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And from then on, we would always go to training, to matches. And, I'm so grateful for her because if it wasn't for her, I probably would have just quit at a younger age. So, definitely join a grassroots level. Your local team is probably your best option because you're able to get to training and the matches. And it's easy to do that because they usually hold trials over the summer, or call the manager or the coach and just be like, oh, we're going to come to training. And that's probably your best bet, a grassroots level, especially at youth. And that's when I started. I started playing, I would say competitively. I'd always been playing football all my life, but I started playing competitively at the age of 14. So I was like year 9. And I would say the second best place would also be asking your PE teacher. So that would be someone within your school who's in sports, and sometimes they have a girls only football team. So I'd say definitely join that because that way you're getting a feel of match games, you're getting a feel of the club, you're getting a feel of playing organised football. If they don't have a girls only team, because sometimes it's not always popular, you can ask, oh, can we set up one, and then you could lead it, you could captain it. It's just, luckily in my secondary school, it was very open for girls to play football. Other schools, they're like, no, you know, girls only play netball or hockey. It was very restrictive. So I think the best place to start would be first grassroots level within your local team, because that way you're playing competitively. Secondly, schools also important. Just ask your PE teacher; they'd actually be happy for you to engage and just be like, you know, I want to set up a football club, or I want to set up a women's only club. And thirdly, after post 16, so after you're 16, specifically in England, they have sixth forms where it's you get to play your football or whatever sports that you do, and you get to study at the same time. So it's actually really good, and a lot of my friends do that who I play football with. They go to sixth form, they get their their A levels or whatever, and they can actually play competitively at the same time, going up and down the country, getting match fit, getting the training, and also getting your A levels, which is important post 16, after you're 16. So it's definitely well worth it. So grassroots level, school, and also college academy football. Those are the three options I would say during your youth. So the next point that I always get is, how do you go further and faster in football, especially within youth football for girls? I would say the number one option is to look at the trials that the top two teams are, well, not the top two teams within the top two leagues within the women's pyramid. So whether that be the women's Premier League or the Championship, you'd look at them and be like, okay, which one am I interested in going to? Which one can I go to their trials, whether that be under 16, under 18, under 21s. I believe some of them are only invite only, so you might not actually get an invite, but what you can do is you can call up and be like, the recruitment people or the coach or the manager is like, can I just turn up to training only? Obviously, when you call up, don't be like, oh, I just rolled out of bed this morning and I've not played football in 50 years, but can I go to your game? Can I go to your training? They would probably look at you and be like, oh no, yeah, we don't have space. We don't have space. What you have to do is you have to make yourself confident.
Muchas gracias, afición. Este para vosotros.
You have to be, you're the real deal. You're turning up to their training, so you have to show them what you're about. So that's, I would say, number one is go to their trials. It's usually held in July and August. So during those two periods is where, pre-season usually starts. They get their trials. Some of them's open, some of them's invite only, but it doesn't matter. Just go to the ones that you can go to. And also, if you can't get in, call the manager, coach, and just be like, can I turn up to training? That way, you can potentially integrate into the team. You can make new friends. You can see what the training's all about. You can get an idea of, how they actually go about their, training for their academies. And then you can pick up your experience along the way if you do decide to move on or stay or whatever. But ideally, to go further and faster, what you'd want to do is go to a team that has the system in place, has the infrastructure in place, and sometimes you'd have to travel further just in order to get better facilities when you're moving up from the grassroots level up into the academies and the center of excellence, as I say. So yeah, that's what I would recommend, number one. And that's really interesting is, what are the barriers and blockers of women's football, especially during the youth grassroots levels? So number one is 100% transport. If you don't actually have a means of actually getting to the games, getting to the matches, it's actually a real struggle. So obviously if your parents are working full time and weekends, that's where most of the games are, then you won't be able to actually go to the matches. So instead of just complaining and being like, oh, I can't get to the matches, let me just sit at home and do nothing, if you're old enough, figure out what bus you need to get, figure out what tram you need to get, figure out how much bus fare costs. Like, just be proactive in actually researching how to get there. But obviously if it's quite far in the middle of nowhere, rural areas, actually make friends with the people in your squad, and if someone lives nearby, ask for a lift, you know, be like, oh, you know, can we go together? They're usually more than happy to say yes, so that way you're actually going to the games together as a team. So it's so much better to do it that way, but obviously that's not always possible if you live in the middle of nowhere. So kind of ask the club to, you know, provide a form of transport, minibus, and then you can chip in to that, so everyone chips in. That's so much easier. I know a lot of clubs don't do that for some reason, like hire a minibus, hire a bus to actually get to the games. It's crazy because that's clearly one of the barriers and blockers of, you know, missing out on talent, missing out on people who actually need to get to the games. So it's probably not a good idea to kind of alienate them, and just because simply they can't actually get to the games. So that is definitely one way that is holding a lot of talent back, which number one being transport. And obviously it's not about resources, it's about resourcefulness. Kind of find your way of trying to get around that. I'm pretty sure I remember seeing a Mohamed Salah clip where he would actually get 2 hours there to his training, 2 hours back, so 4 hours every single day, which is absolutely crazy, just to make his dream of being a footballer and get to his academy at such a young age.
Wonderful moment for you when you think back. You used to travel 9 hours to go and play football, to 4.5 hours each day, and this is the reward you're getting.
Yeah, I think so. I sacrificed a lot in my career, especially go from my village to Cairo to play football and come back. To be an Egyptian in that level for many years is something unbelievable, so I'm very happy and very glad for that.
So, I mean, now he's literally the best footballer in the Premier League and one of the best wingers in the world. So, had he not made that commitment of actually going out of his way, going and finding a means to actually get to his academy, he wouldn't have been where he is now. So, it's definitely a barrier and blocker, however, in women's youth teams.